The night began like any other. Nothing special. Nothing dramatic. Just another ordinary day where people leave their homes believing that nothing unexpected is going to happen. Maya got ready without rushing. She chose a simple outfit, comfortable, flattering in her own way. She checked the mirror just enough to feel presentable. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She just wanted to have dinner, talk, and get home safely. That was it. A normal night. Before we continue, if you enjoy stories that start small but grow into something you never forget, stay with me until the end. And if you feel like this story speaks to you, leave a like and subscribe. It helps this kind of storytelling reach the right people at the right time. The restaurant was the kind of place where everything seemed controlled. Warm lighting. Low music. Waiters gliding between tables as if the floor were made of glass. Perfectly set tables, polished glasses, polite laughter, conversations pretending to be deep. Beautiful people talking about business, travel, real estate, stocks, bonuses. Numbers that never seemed to end. Maya thought she was in neutral territory. She believed nothing there could really hurt her. After all, it was just dinner. Just food. Just people talking. But that was where everything began to change. At first, it was just a comment. Something said too quickly. A sentence tossed into the air as if it carried no weight. Maya heard it, but it took a few seconds to fully register. When it did, she felt the impact. It wasn't physical. It was quiet. Direct. Deep, like a cut that doesn't bleed but burns inside. Some people laughed. Others pretended not to hear. A few stared down at their plates as if the food had suddenly become fascinating. No one stood up. No one interrupted. Maya smiled. Not because she found it funny, but because she had learned over the years that sometimes smiling is the fastest way to survive an uncomfortable moment. A smile is a shield. A smile to get through it. Her name was Maya. Maya was ordinary. And that was never a flaw. She worked hard. Paid bills. Dealt with delays, tough choices, and nights when exhaustion spoke louder than hope. She didn't come from an influential family. She never had connections. Never had an uncle who knows someone. Never had a family friend to open doors. Everything she had earned came from effort. And everything she had lost came from silence. She was at that restaurant because her boyfriend insisted. His name was Ethan. Expensive shirt. Expensive watch. Expensive car. Not because he needed them, but because he liked looking important. "Relax," he said while adjusting his collar. "It's just dinner with people from work. You'll like it." He said it as if he were doing her a favor. Maya trusted him. Because loving someone sometimes means trusting them even when something inside you tells you to be careful. And because part of her wanted to believe that, by his side, she would be safe. Respected. The comment, the joke, came from one of Ethan's friends. A well-dressed man in an expensive suit, with a smile far too confident. The kind of person who's used to never being questioned. He leaned forward slightly like someone about to tell a funny story, and he laughed before even finishing the sentence. "Wow, Ethan," he said loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "I didn't know you were dating charity cases now." The table went silent. A heavy, sticky silence that clung to Maya's skin. Ethan let out an awkward chuckle. He didn't disagree. He didn't defend her. He said absolutely nothing. In that moment, Maya felt her face burn. Not because of the words themselves, but because of the loneliness. The man added, "I'm just kidding." As if that could erase the contempt. Maya took a breath. A short one. She thought about standing up. Leaving. But her legs didn't respond in that first second. Because the world teaches women like her not to make a scene. To swallow it. To endure. And that's when the restaurant doors opened. No announcement. No music getting louder. And still everyone noticed. Conversations softened. Cutlery stopped midair. Postures straightened. Waiters became alert. The most powerful man in the city had arrived. His name was Victor Hale. A businessman known across the entire state. Owner of a conglomerate that employed thousands. A man whose face appeared in newspapers, conferences, and headlines. A man who could decide the fate of a company with a single phone call. But Victor entered calmly. Unhurried. Without arrogance. He walked through the room observing more than being observed. with the kind of attentive gaze that sees people, not just titles. Until he stopped. He stopped near Maya's table. His eyes met hers. Maya froze. There was no judgment. No sense of superiority. There was presence. "Is everything all right here?" Victor asked. The silence answered before anyone found the courage to speak. Maya tried to smile again. Tried to say yes. Tried to pretend everything was fine. But her voice failed. The words came out small, trembling, stuck in her throat. And Victor noticed. He looked at Ethan as if asking without words, "Aren't you going to say anything?" Ethan looked away. Victor then turned to the man who had made the joke. "Could you repeat what you said?" he asked. His voice was low, controlled. But it left no room for humor. The man's confident smile vanished. It was just," he began. Weak excuses. An attempt to sweep cruelty under the rug. Victor listened to everything. Without interrupting. Without raising his voice. And the more the man spoke, the clearer it became. This was never a joke. It was contempt disguised as humor. Victor let him finish. Then spoke simply. "Your company provides services to mine," he said. "Or at least, it used to." The room grew colder. The man's expression changed. Color drained from his face. No one came to his defense. No one laughed. Ethan went pale. Victor turned back to Maya. And for the first time that night, someone spoke to her like a human being. "You deserve respect," he said. "No matter where you come from. You deserve respect because you exist." Maya blinked. A knot tightened in her chest. She wanted to thank him, but her body was still in shock. Victor gave a small nod and walked away. No speech. No performance. Like someone who had nothing to prove. The dinner ended before it ever really finished. On the way home, Ethan tried to explain. Said it was nothing. Said his friend went too far. Said Maya was taking it too seriously. Maya looked out the car window and finally understood. He had never been on her side. He only liked being beside her when it cost him nothing. That night, Maya locked the bathroom door and cried quietly. Not out of weakness. Out of accumulation. Out of exhaustion. From spending too long smiling just to survive. The next morning the phone rang. Unknown number. She hesitated. Fear. Expectation. She almost didn't answer. Because after a night like that, the heart learns to expect the worst. But she answered. Maya? This is Denise from the Hale Group. Mr. Victor Hale asked us to contact you. The world seemed to stop. We'd like to invite you for an interview this afternoon. A real opportunity. Maya lost her breath. I think there's been a mistake. There hasn't. Mr. Hale specifically asked for you. He said he was impressed by your composure. Composure. Not her clothes. Not her status. Her composure. When she hung up, Maya stayed seated, hands trembling. Part of her wanted to believe it. Another part had lived too much to trust too quickly. Ethan changed his tone. Suddenly kind. Suddenly proud. As if he'd always been on her side. You laughed, Maya said simply. It was just awkward, Ethan replied quickly. You know how those guys are. Maya took a breath. And for the first time she didn't smile to survive. I know how they are, she said. And I know how you are. The Hale Group building was massive. Glass and steel. People moving fast. Everything felt far from her world. But she was received with respect. And that alone was different. The office door opened. Victor was standing by the window. When he turned around, there was no tension. There was calm. Maya, he said. Thank you for coming. She sat down, still hardly believing it. I don't know if I should be here. Victor made a gentle gesture. You should. Yesterday, I saw someone trying to make herself small so she wouldn't become a target. And still remaining whole. Maya swallowed hard. Victor continued. I have openings. I have resumes. I have people with famous last names. But character is rare. Maya tried to diminish herself. I don't have the right connections. Good, Victor replied. Connections don't buy integrity. He explained the role, real work, hard decisions, pressure, ethics. And said with quiet firmness. I didn't bring you here out of pity. I brought you because I need people who don't laugh at disrespect just to fit in. The interview ended, and Maya left with a feeling she had almost forgotten: dignity. That night, Ethan showed up with flowers. Flowers he never bought. A rehearsed apology. I was nervous. I didn't think. Maya looked at him and saw clearly he only recognized value when someone powerful validated it. It wasn't nerves, Maya said. It was a choice. You're going to break up with me over a joke? Maya didn't raise her voice, didn't make a scene. She just told the truth. It wasn't the joke. It was you laughing. It was you leaving me alone. She packed a small suitcase, just the essentials, and left. Outside the wind was cold, but for the first time she breathed as if there was space. The next day the confirmation arrived. The job was hers. Maya felt afraid. Real change is frightening, because it demands that we abandon the old version of ourselves. The version that accepts too little just to survive. The night before her first day, Maya barely slept. It wasn't just anxiety. It was the feeling of crossing an invisible border. As if the world she knew had cruel rules, and the new world had rules she didn't yet understand. She looked at her hands in the dark. Hands that had carried boxes, cleaned, served, rushed, worked overtime, lived with the body always on alert. And thought, what if I'm not enough? The question came automatically. What? But alongside it came another, quieter one. What if I've always been enough, and I was just in the wrong place? On the first day, the sun hadn't even warmed the city yet when Maya entered the glass building. The lobby smelled like coffee and polished floors. The security guard smiled and said, "Good morning," as if that were normal. And maybe it was. Maybe respect is normal, just not in the places she spent her whole life. In the elevator, she caught her reflection and tried to remember to breathe. On the team floor, Denise introduced Maya to a small group. Ordinary people. People working. Without the performance of that restaurant. Still there were looks. 2 seconds too long. That measuring curiosity. That where is she from? That how did she get here? Maya felt it, but she didn't retreat. This time she wasn't asking for space. She was taking it. The work was heavy. Paperwork, processes, emails, meetings. And along with that, small traps. Innocent jokes. Comments wrapped in smiles. Sentences meant to test how much she would endure in silence. In one of her first meetings, a manager said, "You're very articulate. You don't seem like someone who came from where you came from." And he laughed as if it were a compliment. Maya felt the old urge to smile. The survival reflex. But she took a breath, looked him in the eyes and answered calmly, "I come from where I come from. And that doesn't diminish who I am." No fight. No aggression. Just truth. The room fell silent for a second. Then the conversation moved on. But something had shifted. Because when someone refuses to accept the role of a target, the dynamics reorganize. That same week, Maya received her first case. An old supplier, very well connected, known for offering favors. Nothing explicit. Nothing that left evidence. Just a gift box as a thank you. An invitation to talk things through. A dinner to align details. The team watched Maya, waiting to see what she would do. That's how these things usually work. A dance of subtleties. And whoever refuses becomes difficult. Maya returned the box unopened. And replied to the email with 2 lines. "Thank you. I don't accept gifts related to the process. We'll proceed through the official channel." It was simple. But it was brave. Because courage, more often than not, is standing firm when it would be more comfortable to give in. At the end of the day, Victor called Maya in. She walked into his office with her heart racing as if she'd done something wrong. But he wasn't there to scold her. He was there to confirm something. "I heard about the gift," he said. Maya nodded. "I returned it." Victor looked at her for a moment as if evaluating not the action, but the intention behind it. Then he said, "Thank you for not negotiating your integrity. A lot of people negotiate without even realizing it." Maya exhaled. "I was afraid of causing a problem." Victor walked toward the window. "The real problem is when we allow that to become the norm. You did the right thing. And doing the right thing has a price, but it also has a reward." Maya stood there in silence, feeling something rare, real support. Not flattery, not promises, support. Gradually, days turned into weeks. Weeks became routine. And Maya began to change on the inside. She started speaking in meetings without apologizing first. She started saying no without over-explaining. She began walking through the hallways like someone who belongs. Because belonging isn't about being invited. It's about recognizing yourself. And, as always happens when someone changes internally, the world tests it. Ethan came back. First through messages. I miss you. I was an idiot. I want to try again. Then in person. He showed up at her new apartment door with a sad smile and a prepared speech. I've thought a lot, he said. I understand now. I want to be better. Maya stood still watching him. Did she want to believe? She did. Because the part of her trained to accept crumbs was still there. But now there was a bigger part. A part that had learned to recognize patterns. Ethan, she said, you're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry about what happened afterward. He opened his mouth, offended. That's not true. Maya replied. If nothing had changed in my life, would you have apologized? His silence was the answer. And Maya closed the door gently. No yelling. No hatred. Just choosing herself. Later that night, she sat on the couch and realized that, for the first time, loneliness didn't feel like punishment. It felt like freedom. Sometime later, Victor invited Maya to a small internal ceremony. No stage. No flashes. The company was launching a protection and safe reporting program for employees and suppliers. A system so that humiliation, abuse, and corruption wouldn't be hidden behind jokes and customs. Victor spoke to a small group. What destroys a culture isn't just the cruelty of a few. It's the silence of many. Maya felt the words as if they had been written for her. Because that was it. That night at the restaurant had been a small portrait of a much larger world. After the ceremony, Denise approached and handed Maya an envelope. A formal letter. A raise. A gradual promotion. A concrete change. Not as a reward for suffering, but as recognition for consistency. Maya closed her eyes for a moment. She remembered the shielded smile. The laughing table. The moment she felt invisible. And then she remembered what came next. The door opening, the simple question, the presence. And she realized her destiny didn't change because a powerful man showed up. It changed because, in the middle of humiliation, she didn't become cruel. She didn't respond with poison. She simply tried to remain whole. And that called something bigger. Today, when Maya walks into a restaurant, a meeting room, any space at all, she doesn't look for approval. She looks for respect. And if she doesn't find it, she doesn't make herself smaller. She steps away. Or she takes a stand. Because she learned that dignity isn't a medal someone gives you. It's a choice you make, especially when no one is applauding. And the lesson is universal. When someone says, it's just a joke, watch who laughs. Watch who looks away. Watch who defends. And watch who stays silent. Because character doesn't show up in beautiful speeches. Character shows up in the moment when it would be easier to stay quiet. And if you're living something like this, remember, you don't have to smile to survive forever. One day a door opens. One day the truth arrives. And sometimes change begins with a simple question. Is everything okay here? Before you go, let me ask you something simple but powerful. If this story touched you in any way, if at any moment you saw yourself in Maya, remembered someone who was silenced, or felt these words arrived right on time, confirm that you received this message. Write in the comments, this person is me. Those words represent alignment, confirmation, and a conscious choice. They're a way of saying, I understand. I receive it. I move forward differently. If you believe in stories that remind us that character matters, that kindness is not weakness, and that silence should never protect injustice, subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any story that might arrive exactly when you, or someone else, needs to hear it. And if this message resonated with you, share it. Sometimes someone is smiling just to survive, and needs to hear this today. Nothing here is by chance. If you stayed until the end, this story was also about you.